as a VTuber, I only talk about appropriate social issues, like, inflation. Things are so expensive. Yes, I can monetize that. One time, in school, I was having, like, what's it called? Social science? Social economics? Something like that? My teacher was talking about, like, you know, women also talk about politics, but they do it in a different way from men. And she said, like, for example, women politics can be something like discussing the prices of groceries. And then later I referenced her point about, like, you know, women talk differently about, like, economy, like, the prices of groceries. And when I said that, the whole class was, like, shocked by my statement. And my teacher was like, Matthias, do you think that's appropriate to say? And I'm like, what the fuck? That's why I'm repeating what you said. You taught me about this. I'm repeating I thought I was gonna be clever and repeat, like, your point and get, like, social approval for that. And now I'm being, I'm, like, being shamed for talking about your point about women talking about groceries as a form of politics. You think I came up with this? I'm, like, 14 years old, man. Your teacher said women be shopping. Yeah, and it was really clever when she said it, okay? It was not okay for me to say that. Anyway, that was one of my social humiliations. I just have such a strong memory of that. And it wasn't even, like, too far away from when she said it. It was, like, right after that. It was, like, within minutes. And then everyone was shocked by me saying it. Like, no, did none of you pay attention to what she was talking about? It wasn't even my idea. Mario's so expensive. When will Mario deflate? This is a... I mean, it shouldn't be an inappropriate question, but somehow it feels inappropriate. Teachers are kind of weird. Like, nothing crazy said there. But it's weird realizing that they are human beings when you're a kid. I remember there was, like, a really well-liked teacher at my school, and everyone loved him. And then one day he was leaving, and we were all like, no, 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 we want him to stay, we want him to stay, because he was, like, actually, like, training to be a teacher. And his, like, whole thing was over there. But we all pitched in, like, we want him to work here, we want him to come back, and they were like, well, the kid said so, let's bring him back, the kids want him. And then he came back, and he was, like, a completely different person. He was just, like, one of the kids. I think that got to his head. Where, like, before, he was, like, a professional teacher. Then he heard about, like, we're sending you back to the school because all the kids wanted you to come back. And then he was just, like, one of the kids. Like, he was just, like, hanging out in the computer place and just being like, hey, you guys want to play video games? What's up, guys? He was, like, trying to be one of us, but that made it really weird. Like, I didn't like that. It was so strange when he tried to be, like, one of us. I remember one time in class, I was reading this magazine, and I was so bored that I just kept reading it over and over again. I just picked it up, read it, back to back, then I didn't care about the lesson. Picked it up, read it again, didn't care, picked it up, read it again. Then I noticed, like, everyone were looking at me. I was like, what's going on? And apparently the teacher had just said, like, I swear to fucking God, Matthias, if you pick up that magazine and try to, like, pretend to read it again, you're getting out of here. And my friend was like, did you not, like, pay attention to what's going on? And I was just like, no. And later he confronted me about it, like, what was happening? Like, what? I thought that was so cool, like, you didn't care at all. And I was like, no, I was so bored that I kept reading this magazine. I was so bored that I didn't pay attention, and he thought it was like a cool power move I was doing, but no, I was just so bored. And that teacher really sucked, so I guess that played into it also. Aura. I was like aura forming in that moment, but I wasn't even aware of it. I think schools should be more like trade school and less general education. I think, so I used to think that they should be more like trade schools, so like you learn a profession, you learn a job. Now I think education, general education. Because I get the idea that, like, it should be like a trade school so you can prepare for a workforce and all that. But there's a problem with, like, setting up schools if it's only about the purpose of getting a job, which is, like, you're kind of just, like, I don't know, imbued into the capitalist system, you know? You're kind of just, like, promoting capitalism in a sense. I don't even mean that in, like, an economic or, like, capitalism versus something else way. I mean that in the way of, like, let's maybe make a society of human beings where like everything is not just purely focused on like money and money making. Like let's make sure we have a society where like we have people who are capable of like reflection and philosophy and critical thinking and like just a general sense of culture. You can still learn everything about like getting a job and all that within that system. I don't think they are two opposite systems, right? And you could do it the other way around also, of course. But like, if I had to pick one over the other, then I would prefer that human beings are people and they're not only occupied with like, how do I get good job? I would rather be surrounded by cultural beings. One time I got in trouble for something I didn't do. I think it was something just like talking in class or something like that. It was really weird. She confused me for someone else. But then I just took the punishment. And I was just like, I don't know, I just wanted to do something that was not class. So I just took it and I was like, okay, I'll do it. And then later she came back and she was like, hey, the other classmates told me you didn't do anything. And I was wrong. It was actually someone else. I was like, yeah. And she was like, why didn't you say anything? And I was just like, just thought it might be fun. And it was. Like, it wasn't me hanging out with two other kids instead of being in class. So it's just like, hey, what's up? Let's talk about stuff. I actually remember I had a teacher who was a Buddhist. And he was bald. I remember it only because one time he talked about, like, he was going to, like, a Buddhist, like, seminar for the weekend. And he was also, like, a rapper. He was also, like, a rapper who was making music and stuff. It was kind of interesting having that interaction with a teacher like that. Just like, huh. This guy's, like, a teacher, but he's also trying to be a rapper. And I don't remember, like, any of his songs, his music, or anything like that. I don't think I ever listened to it, but I remember other kids talking about it. Just being like, yeah, he's kind of good, actually. I wonder what happened to that guy. Oh yeah, I remember we had sex ed with that guy. And he got so nervous during that he started sweating. Like drips running down his face. And he had to go to the bathroom. Can you tell us
about a field trip you took as a wee lad?
Oh, maybe. Hold on, can I think of any? I do remember that though. He was like... he was sweating. And had water. It was like a comedy skit or something where someone puts like an exaggerated amount of water on someone's face. He had that because he was trying to teach sex ed.